What's going on, my people? How y'all doing? Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. I don't know about y'all, but I'm happy because I'm on vacation. This is the first time I've been on a vacation like this since high school. So I'm excited. We up in here. Got this good Saturday, OTS OG Saturday Live. I got my good guest up in the building. She's no stranger to the platform. The one, the only, the PhD. What's going on, my sister?
Hey y'all, hey, how y'all doing?
What's going on out here? So we got a fun topic that we're getting into. The Iceman Inheritance is the book that we're using that text as a framework, and we're going to see if we fully agree with it or not. Also, we're using that to link to the psychology of racist serial killers. And so it's Michael Bradley's book, The Iceman Inheritance: Prehistoric Sources of Western Man's Racism, Sexism, and Aggression. And I thought this would be a good show. And this show is actually inspired by our guest, the PhD. So I appreciate that, because I remember you mentioning that you were reading the book and you said it several times. Oh, Miami just won.
Hey.
Well, you had mentioned that you read the book. So I was scrolling through some videos and I came across the brother Dalio Kenyatta. And I'm familiar with Dalio Kenyatta from Dr. Jared Ball's platform. And he's doing a breakdown of the Iceman Inheritance. So we're going to look at that. We're also going to look at it through the lens of Jeffrey Dahmer, who we know who Jeffrey Dahmer is. And then another white guy, Joseph Paul Franklin. And I hate that we have the same first name, but we do. Joseph Paul Franklin. He was a racist serial killer. So we're going to look at white supremacy and how white supremacy breeds people like this, the culture of white supremacy, and what is the foundation of the culture of white supremacy that would breed such terroristic minded, malicious people, and not just a few of them, but a good number of them, but also just looking at the effects of white supremacist culture and how everywhere white supremacist culture goes, it breeds destruction. Nothing else can survive in an environment where white supremacy is the dominant culture, because it destroys everywhere it goes. So why does it do that? So we're going to use Michael Bradley's text to help us get a good understanding of the culture, the nature, the behavior, the mindset of the white supremacists, and not just the white supremacists, but the violent white supremacists. So that's what we're getting into today. We're having some fun. My man Dion White, as always, first up in the building. My main man, how you doing, brother? How you doing? Thank you. Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad, Happy Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, or Rosh Hashanah, whatever you celebrate. All that. Renee, what's going on, Renee? How you doing? We up in the building. You know how we doing. This is gonna be a good one, because we're getting into the minds of these crazy people. My man said he's here and present. Yes. Hey, I'm Renee. I am so happy about this vacation. I am so happy. Okay, everybody off in the Lone Star State of Texas. How you doing, Christine? Thank you as always for being here. So I will say I have not. So with the Iceman Inheritance, I have not read the book, but I do have a synopsis of the book and some summaries of the chapters of the book that I'm using that we can get into. But that's why I'm using Dalio Kenyatta's video for a frame of reference, as well as PhD, because she's read some of the book. So that way we can have a good frame of reference to understand what we're talking about. So getting into it. SEA says, like, comment, subscribe, and share this. Please send it out as far and wide as possible. Hit that like button. New York is in the building. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. I'm all the way down here in Florida. It's about 65 degrees. It's almost Christmas time. As long as it's a 70-degree Christmas day, I'm good. We don't like it to be cold down here. People who like it cold don't move to Florida. All right, so that's how we doing it. So PhD, how you been?
Good,
Diva.
sir. Doing a little bit of traveling, getting ready to head off to Africa a couple
Okay.
days after Christmas. So
Okay. Well, we got to wish you a safe trip to
thank
go out
you.
to the motherland and connect with the people there. So if you see anybody there that got a head shaped like mine, tell them I said what's up.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna take a picture of them. So y'all can reconnect.
Anybody with a black IP head, there you go. There you go. So we're gonna jump this thing off. Oh, Cali, y'all said Cali is foggy but nice today. That's what's up. That's what's up. I'm glad it's some good weather somewhere in the country, because I know it's cold other places. So we're gonna kick this thing off. We're looking at Jeffrey Dahmer first, his crazy self. Jeffrey Dahmer is basically going to be explaining why he did what he did. But before we get into that, let me read this. Get into my notes. It says Christmas in Africa. Yes, I know, right? We're jealous. I'm jealous. I'm gonna jump in a suitcase. I don't weigh that much. So let me read this to you all for my notes before we let Jeffrey Dahmer tell on himself. It says, Michael Bradley's central thesis is modern Western aggression, racism, sexism, and a drive to dominate derive from deep prehistoric events in Ice Age Europe, especially interactions between anatomically modern humans and Neanderthals, who would be the Caucasians or the Iceman, and those populations and selective pressures of glacial environments. He argues those pressures produce psychobiological adaptations, sexual maladaptions, high aggression, certain social structures that were transmitted culturally and genetically, and later gave rise to features of Western civilization to patterns of domination. Bradley mixes archaeological, anthropological, and speculative psychobiological arguments. The book is influential in some Afrocentric and radical circles, but is contested by mainstream anthropology because of the provocative text. And it says that it's not well liked in a lot of white circles, basically what it's getting into. So chapter 1, so it's gonna break the things down chapter by chapter when we get into, and we're gonna let Jeffrey Dahmer talk, and then we're gonna start getting into it chapter by chapter as he goes, and as Dalio Kenyatta goes. But I did want to lay that framework, that groundwork for what Bradley is saying, that the environment that they came from, that Ice Age environment, that environment of scarcity, that bred that aggression, that bred that need to dominate, that bred that some would say that insecurity that they could have in them. And it's always like human contact, human interaction, from my understanding and my studying of history, has always had conflict in it. Human beings have had conflict, but from what he's saying, human beings and Neanderthals come in contact with themselves, of course, there's going to be conflict. And so, all right, that's what Bradley is saying. So let's see if what Jeffrey Dahmer is talking about is lining up in a modern sense with what Michael Bradley is talking about from his historical sense and bringing it to this modern times. And so this is an interview of Jeffrey Dahmer from, what's this, Inside Edition. So it's back in the days. You can tell by his glasses that this was back in the 80s. So, all right. So I'm sure it's not like it's not like them white supremacist circles, especially with Dr. Clark doing the introduction on it as well. So let's let Jeffrey Dahmer tell on himself. So please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, share.
Graphic.
I started having these obsessive thoughts when I was about 15 and 16, and they got worse and worse.
What were your fantasies about?
They control, power, complete dominance. They became reality.
Was there pleasure?
Well, dang, right out the gate. Dang, we ain't even go 10 seconds into it, and he told us control, dominance, power. So he's not too far off already. And real quick, do want to give a quick shout out. Thank you, super chat from DSB. Oh, excuse me, for becoming a member for 3 months. My brother DSB, Shalom, my warrior brother and family in the chat. Thank you, my brother DSB, for becoming a member for 3 months. Thank you. But listen to what he said. I'm gonna let him. Let's run it back. Let's let him say it again. Right out the gate, he's talking about dominance, power, and control already off the gate, and sexual fantasies.
Graphic.
I started having these obsessive thoughts when I was about 15 and 16, and they got worse and worse.
What were your fantasies about?
They were sexual fantasies of control, power, complete dominance. They became reality.
Was there pleasure in that fantasy?
There was excitement, fear, pleasure, all mixed together.
Jeffrey Dahmer fulfilled his fantasies by murdering and dismembering 17 young men. In time, his desires became more extreme, his deeds more grotesque. Listen to him talk about the most unnatural things in the most matter-of-fact of ways. That's when you realize that none of it has touched him.
I was branching out. That's when the cannibalism started, eating of the heart and the arm muscle. It was a way of making me feel that they were a part of me. At first it was just curiosity, and then it became compulsive. Then I tried to keep the person alive by inducing a zombie-like state. By injecting first dilute acid solution into their brain or hot water. And it never did completely work.
Could someone like you be stopped? Could you be helped?
No, I was dead set on going with this compulsion. It was the only thing that gave me any satisfaction.
He became so warped by his evil impulses that he even took a victim's head with him to work at the Ambrosia Chocolate Factory.
I kept the mummified head and skull of one of the victims in a carrying case in my locker at work.
Were you almost flaunting it?
Yes, but that's how strong the compulsion was. That's how bizarre the desire was. I wanted to keep something of the person with me.
What? This is true psychopathic, psychotic behavior, diva. Like, so just your first thoughts of listening, or your first reactions to what he's saying before we even compare it to the text.
Gosh.
Right.
Well, it reminded me of something that we saw Dr. Marimba Ani talk about, where she talked about how they are lacking in the ability to connect, right? To something within themselves, right. To connect to something within themselves, to something greater than themselves, to one another. Like, they have a problem, a fundamental problem of connection and being able to connect. Right. And so for him, carrying parts of the people with him and eating them was his way of trying to connect. This is how sick their entire culture is, because it all came out of an environment where it was cold, and so it bred that scarcity mindset and that survival of the fittest mindset, and that every man for himself, that rugged individualism. But this is the outcome of it at some point, right? So you keep drawing it out to its logical conclusion, and at some point you're going to end up at this person.
Yes. So my Tuesday videos, I have actually been breaking down that Urugu lecture. And what I like about it is she's talking about taking it from the doggone cosmology. So when creation was happening, basically the European ripped itself away from creation, ripped itself away from that feminine aspect, but from the whole of creation. And it's an incomplete being who will do any and everything from the material level to feel complete. And that's that disconnection that you're talking about. And that basically that connection is through like the material world, the technological world. Kind of reminds me of, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, by possessing things or controlling things.
Right. Kind of remind me of have you ever seen the series American Gods?
Yes.
You kind of remind me of that, like the old gods and their war against the new gods, the spiritual world versus the technological world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're definitely in this technological, this physical world, but they sick in it too. Like he carrying around skulls.
Right. And the even sicker thing is nobody around him noticed. And so that just goes to show you how sick they all are, that you could be exhibiting this level of depravity and nobody around you even noticed.
Amina, we are happy you are still here, my sister. She said she grew up in the town with him and walked past his apartment complex. Oh man, that is crazy. That is crazy. What's going on, my brother Nemesis? We're talking about we're using the book The Iceman Inheritance and comparing the text to the events, lives, and confessions of racist white serial killers, namely Jeffrey Dahmer and Joseph Paul Franklin, and looking at the psychology and the mindset and the culture that will breed white, terroristic, psychopathic people like that. So that's what we're talking about today. Oh man. It says, in oppression, everyone has the potential to be oppressive. Mr. Smith syndrome from the Matrix movie. Hey, Door of L, I hear you. Renee says, socio means the people are able to move in social circles. Psychopathic means exactly what he's saying. There's a movie Taking Lives. I got to check that out. Taking Lives. I heard about that. So, all right, let's let this fool get back to telling on himself. Please hit that like button. Please hit that like button.
Jeffrey Dahmer exhibited some disturbing behavior early on. He began drinking heavily as a teenager, dropped out of college, was arrested for indecent exposure, disorderly conduct, and fondling a 13-year-old boy. Tragically, one of his murder victims would be that boy's brother.
Do you know what started it? Was there any kind of incident that you can remember?
To this day, I don't know what started it. And the person to blame is sitting right across from you. That's the only person. Not parents, not society, not pornography. I mean, those are just excuses.
His macabre 13-year crime spree finally ended when this man, Tracy Edwards, brought the police to the infamous apartment. Like the others, he had gone there with the promise of money.
He was listening so much because at a point he told me he was going to eat my heart at that point. I hit him and I ran.
What was the turning point for you that made you suddenly realize that you had done something terribly wrong, something you should be sorry for?
It was the night of the arrest. I have no memory of what happened during the 6 hours before the last victim ran out of the apartment. I heard a knock on the door, and the police were there with the last victim. They asked me where the key was to the handcuffs. My mind was in a haze. I sort of pointed to the bedroom, and that's where they found the pictures. And they yelled, "Cuff him." I was handcuffed, and it was just the realization that there was no point in trying to hide my actions anymore. The best route was to help the police identify all the victims and just make a complete confession.
When it was revealed that most of the victims were black.
Well, probably because he's satisfied and he got off by now. It's all right. So it's time to go ahead and do something different because he done got off. Like he got a little bit of this fix. It's time to do something different. He bored now. Like that's wild. That's wild. So comparing this to the Iceman inheritance. And so Part 1, Chapter 1. Part 1 is the contention and the Iceman inheritance. Chapter 1 is Greek gifts in Western technology. You say he worked in the chocolate? Oh man, he worked in the chocolate factory. That's that is crazy. Man, there's so many jokes with that. So it says Bradley opens by examining Western technological and material accomplishments, Greco-Roman science, metallurgy, shipbuilding, all those things. He asks whether these accomplishments meant the West is innately superior, or whether they are the product of specific prehistoric adaptations and historical contingencies. He begins to link technology to ecological and psychobiological histories rather than moral or civilizational superiority. Basically, like we was talking about earlier, them linking their ability to be powerful to the things that they can manifest on this physical world to help them dominate others, i.e. technology, i.e. weapons, and those things that gives them the, I guess, the advantage that goes along with their warlike mindsets and their culture of domination, the culture of seeking power, the culture of wanting to rule the world, all those things mix in one. And that gives you this group of people who are going to go out and just, like one dude, so I was watching one video, he was like, he just wanted to see somebody's head just pop. That satisfies them. Because listen to what he's saying. He's like Jeffrey Dahmer said, I did all this crazy stuff. Hey, I walked around with people's skulls. And then one day I just said, I don't want to do this no more. And I'm going to go help the police find all the bodies that I killed. What?
Right.
What? That's crazy.
Right. But that's them. And so one of the key things that, that part of the book you were talking about points out is that, yes, so their culture or their worldview is focused on technological especially advancement, progress. But the other side of that is the destruction that goes along with it, right? So not only what you're doing to the land and the environment, but the way it impacts people in society and, how it leads them to acting, right? Once you start getting all the being disconnected from society or the people around you, you start seeing a lot of this very heinous type of behavior. Whereas it's less common when you are very immersed in your, social network or the people around you. When you have closer relationships with those people, it's less likely that you go engage in some wild behavior like this guy Dahmer. And if you do, people are going to notice quickly, right? Because they're connected to you, so they're going to see the little idiosyncrasies or the change ups in your behavior.
Right. Yeah, it's and like a couple people have said in the chat, Dahmer didn't get away with this just by itself. People knew what was going on. What's Nemesis says, police aided Dahmer in killing the young Asian boy whose picture they just showed. See, it was like stuff like that. Because I think back to other stories that I've covered to where the police are aiding the white people in terrorizing other people. So it's not uncommon, and I wouldn't put it past them. But this is wild. This is wild.
Right.
Straight Urugu. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, so I always want us to kind of focus on what does this mean? How should this inform our behavior? Right. And so one of the things with them being disconnected from spirit, from each other, from, all that stuff, having a soul, what does that mean? And how should that impact our behavior or inform our behavior? And so what that means is when you are having these relationships with these people, understand that the relationship is probably very different on your end than it is on theirs.
Yes. Well, how have they always viewed us? Why did white people bring us to America? We have been brought here to be labor, to be workers, to be chattel, to be tools to use for their advancement. It's always been since they brought us here. Why would it change now?
Right.
And so if you put yourself in the environment to be used as a tool, you have to understand what you signed up for. So
yep.
So yeah. So all right. Back to crazy.
Or homosexual. People in Milwaukee were incensed. Many felt that was why he went after them and why the police didn't seem to care when their families reported them missing.
10 of your 17 victims were black. Were they racially motivated?
It was not racially motivated. It was not sexual preference. It was just to find an obsession with the best-looking young man I could find.
While you just heard him say that his sexual preference had nothing to do with the killing,
No.
he has not come to terms with his homosexuality.
Never understood it. There was no use trying to fight it because I couldn't rid myself of it. It was too powerful and persistent.
Do you dislike it?
Yes, it's caused a lot of problems for me. A lot of conflicts and unanswered questions.
The conflicts remain with him, and so do his compulsions. But in prison, he finally cannot act on his savage desires.
If you were out on the street now, would you still be committing the crimes?
Probably. If this hadn't happened, there's no doubt I probably would be. I can't think of anything that would have stopped me.
Boy, does he come across as cold-blooded. Did you see any remorse?
Well, he said, but I'm not sure he associated him.
What they talking about? Let's get back to Dahmer, but he had he was sexually attracted to these black men. What he's saying, he had a sexual because he's like he was looking for the best looking people, and it just so happened to be black. But it makes me think about Dr. Francis Chris Wilson and white people's undercover or unconscious, or even some of them conscious sexual desires for black people, but it also goes into them needing to have that to feel fully white and to have that full position of domination over us. And so, but going back to your question, like hearing him say this and then thinking about how we go about living our lives and wanting to be a part of the structure of white supremacy, like we got to think about what we're doing and the people that we're trying to align ourselves with, or to work with, or even to use for our own personal advancement. You know, on one hand, we cry racism. On the other hand, we want to align ourselves with these diabolical people. We have to check ourselves.
Right. Absolutely. You know, especially like you said, in work scenarios, I always tell black people they not really trying to be your friend. They just they call it status checking. They just want to make sure you don't have nothing more than they got or what they think you're supposed to have. Right. So they're constantly doing a comparison with you. And so a lot of times we think that these are genuine, organic relationships when it's a very goal-directed behavior on their end. And so the important thing for us to know is, you know, the relationship probably ain't that deep. And if it is, just understand that if it ever becomes beneficial or expedient for the relationship not to be that deep no more, then understand that it won't be that deep no more for them on their end. Right. So just being aware of who we dealing with and what to expect.
Right. And that goes into us understanding that they are disconnected from nature. And it goes like we seek, historically we would seek to build in relation to nature. Like I was just having a conversation with my coworkers, one of my coworkers who went down to Machu Picchu in Peru, and he was talking about the structure and the stones and how everything was built and how everything was aligned with nature. And it made me think about today's show. And then I'm thinking about the structures that white people build that's not in alignment with nature that crumble. So it's two different mentalities and two different ways of living and two different lenses, two different worldviews, and understanding that when we try to assimilate into something that is not natural to us, how harmful it is to us because we take ourselves out of alignment with nature.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
We got to get right. So drink water, put shea butter on, try to stay away from the white people stuff. And Nemesis says the boy's name was, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, but that's his name. He was a 14-year-old, but the police and typical profiling allowed Dahmer to suggest he was an adult. That's crazy.